What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel in another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Hemi Tick, a very well-known phenomenon that I have, or thought I had, and let me explain. And what the Hemi Tick is just a ticking noise. It's pretty simple. You start up the engine, you hear a loud ticking noise, and it's pretty commonly known to be lifters on these Hemis. Now, that is kind of a myth, in my opinion, and according to a lot of mechanics as well that I've seen on YouTube that kind of explain the Hemi Tick. Most of the time, the Hemi Tick is either an exhaust leak or you're looking at possibly the lifters as well, but normally it's some sort of exhaust leak that's causing that noise. I've even heard occasionally it could be a fuel injector, because the fuel injectors are pretty loud on these Hemis. If I were to open up the hood, it just kind of sounds like a typewriter, and it's just those different fuel injectors going back and forth. Now with my Hemi Tick, should I say, I only noticed it at cold start, and I put a clip in here as well that I'll show you guys. Hopefully the sound comes through okay. But what happens is I start the truck cold, and you would hear it for maybe 5 to 10 seconds. After that, the noise went away, and I wouldn't really hear it. And this got progressively worse over the course of the last 6 months. When it first happened, I didn't really think a whole lot of it. Figured if something was wrong, it was gonna get worse. So I was just kind of listening and hearing it out. Well, here recently, I noticed I was starting to hear it at cold start when I was in the truck as well. I could hear it down by the floorboard, so I knew it was starting to get loud. And after doing some research on these Hemis, I realized that the exhaust manifold bolts are known to break. Now, I have heard this was a lot worse on previous generations of Ram. The 5th gen Rams, apparently they did alleviate this issue a little bit, but it still happens. So the 5th gen Rams are a little bit more known to have cracked manifolds themselves, from what I've heard. But in my case, that was not true. I actually had a broken bolt. Now, the most common bolts that break are the ones that hold on the heat shield. Normally, those will snap off either at the head or at the manifold. If it's at the head, it can be a real nightmare. And you can search on YouTube, Hemi exhaust manifold, and you will pull up a lot of videos of people frustrated. Luckily, in my case, mine snapped off right at the manifold. So pretty easy to do. We snapped some vice grips on those and twisted them right off. And instead of replacing this with the stock kit that could very likely do the same exact thing in the near future, I decided to do some searching, see if there was some upgrades to this. I didn't want to do long tube headers or anything that was going to be difficult to install. I just wanted something that was a little bit stronger that wouldn't break after 20-30,000 miles. And luckily, BD Diesel had a kit for this. They have a kit for both the passenger side and the driver's side. You can buy them separately or together. This kit is right around that $250 to $300 mark. When I bought it, it was right around, I think it was $250 to $270. I'll have to go back and double check that, but very reasonable price. I did just buy the driver's side. The stock kit, I believe, runs pretty similarly to that price range. It comes with a new manifold, which is stronger and thicker, so you knock out one weak point right there. And then it comes with upgraded bolts and some spacers to help leverage those bolts and give them some more gripping power. So it is a really nice full kit. The only thing it does not come with is the new heat shield. You have to use your stock heat shield, but it is a fantastic kit. I'm very happy with this. Now, if you go with the full kit, this is what you'll get. You'll get both of the gaskets, you'll get both manifolds, and all the bolts you're going to need, including the bolts that actually bolt it onto the exhaust itself. So you do get new bolts for that, which you're going to need, because more than likely they're going to break when you try to get them off. But like I said, I only went with the driver's side. It came with everything that it needed to be installed. It didn't include the heat shield. It's something you do have to buy or use your old one separately. But again, I think this is well worth the extra money if you're looking to get rid of that exhaust manifold leak that you have. For the price of this kit and the upgraded bolts, the upgraded manifold, very reasonable, and it has a 75,000 mile warranty. I mean, that is fantastic. I don't even know if the stock one has a warranty. So just a fantastic option compared to the stock option. I'll link it down below. No, I'm not sponsored. No, I get no kickbacks. I just love that BD Diesel put out this kit. It's an absolute lifesaver for us Hemi owners. Now these are the bolts that you get for the manifold with the BD Diesel manifold. They have these spacers on here, and this is supposed to help with clamping force. So it gives it a little bit more strength to this bolt. And another thing they do as well, and I'll use the old manifold as an example, is these mounting surfaces here are machined. So there's no roughness. It's a very clean contact on to the manifold. So there's no moving around and a less likely chance of a bolt breaking. So definitely worth the extra money to go with something that's upgraded and has a 75,000 mile warranty versus the stock option. And I will also put up a comparison picture of the differences between the two manifolds. It doesn't look very obvious on camera, but if you go onto BD Diesel's website, they'll show you how much thicker their manifold is versus the stock replacement. I did not get the install on video because I had a feeling it was going to be not easy to do. Luckily, it ended up being pretty easy, but I ended up paying my buddy to help me out with getting it on. So he ended up doing most of the work for me. Normally I would do it myself, but I thought there was going to be more broken bolts, and I didn't want to screw with that. And unfortunately, mine was on the driver's side, which is a lot harder to get to. You have to remove the steering shaft, and you also have to move a couple cables as well. But once you get the fender liner out, it's not a hard job to do. It's just getting any broken bolts out of there. The only broken bolt I had was in the top upper corner towards the back of the truck. And I'll post a picture of how it broke cleanly as well. But it ended up being a pretty easy removal. We just put some vice grips on it, like I said, and twisted it right off. So pretty simple to do, but I did get very lucky. A lot of these Hemis are a lot worse off when it comes to broken bolts. Now, if you aren't sure if you have the Hemi Tick or if you have an exhaust manifold leak, what you can do, and something very easy that I did to help kind of corner it and find the issue, was I put my hand up behind the fender liner, and I'll show you. I put my hand up behind the fender liner here and pulled on this heat shield that you see right here. I pulled at all four corners. If you pull and you can feel it moving around, you know you have a broken bolt. Now they could break, the ones that are not the cover, those could break as well, but it's less likely. Those usually break as you're taking it off. You can tell if one's actually broken off right from the get-go if you pull on that heat shield, because that is the common weak point of these manifolds, is right where that heat shield actually bolts onto the manifold. Another thing to watch out for with these manifolds, especially on these 5th gen Rams, is they do tend to crack right around here. And as you can see, mine was starting to form a small little crack right here, it looks like. But that is something, if it's more of like a fart noise or a very, very loud air noise, you could be dealing with a cracked manifold instead of a manifold bolt. And this is the spot right here of where my bolt had broken off. All the rest of them were good to go. But the ones you want to watch out for are the ones, again, that connect to the heat shield. So it's this bolt, this one, and this one. So there's something to watch out for there, guys. But again, BD Diesel, fantastic kit if you're looking to replace both your manifold and the bolts. And to give you guys a little visual image here, what usually happens is you'll have this right here, and you'll have your heat shield connected up here, and that bolt will snap clean off either right here or right here. And I'm not sure if that's a pressure issue or why this happens. It's a very, very common issue on these Hemis, but this is usually the bolt that you'll find broken. Not saying it's the only one, but usually it's this one that has the heat shield connection versus these other ones where the head is actually straight flat right here. And before you just go and say that it's for sure your exhaust manifold, do make sure you do some diagnosing on it, because it could be a lifter. I'm not saying that never happens, but it's less likely that it's actually a lifter. Of course, depending on your mileage, depending on the history of your engine, that's important as well. But it's more likely that it's a simple exhaust manifold leak, or an injector or something along those lines. And again, there are way more in-depth videos on YouTube regarding this Hemi Tick, but I wanted to put out something just with my situation and how I kind of figured it out. If it's a noise that you hear when you first start it up cold and it goes away after, say, a minute, more than likely you're looking at an exhaust leak. Could be driver's side, could be passenger side, could be both. So it's just something you have to listen for when you first start up the truck. And I apologize I wasn't able to get the install on video for you guys. It's kind of a tight job, a little hard to get to some of the bolts. But like I said, once you get that liner off, everything's fairly accessible. You will need some swivel head sockets, and you will need to get creative on some of them. But it wasn't too hard for my buddy to get all that done. We had it done in about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and that was with us talking as well. So it's not too hard of a job. There's plenty of videos out there on how to do it. It's pretty much the same between 09 to up to 2023, 2024. But they did change the passenger side on the 5th gen. So if you are ordering a manifold, make sure you're getting it for the 5th gen and not the 4th gen. And that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit if you're experiencing the Hemi Tick, or if you're just hearing a noise that you're not sure what it is on this Hemi. More than likely it is those exhaust manifolds. They are known to have broken bolts. They're known to have issues. So it's just something you have to watch out for before you start throwing a ton of money into lifters and all sorts of stuff on these trucks. I've heard of mechanic shops misdiagnosing this, and that's thousands of dollars difference between these two jobs. So just make sure that you do your homework and you do some diagnostics before you take this to a shop to make sure you know what it is. Because again, those broken bolts can sound like a tick. It's a very, very loud noise at first startup when it's cold. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about the BD diesel kit or about these exhaust manifolds, drop them down below. I'd be glad to help out. I did a lot of research before I bought these BD diesel upgrade kits, so I can help you out if need be. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content coming your way soon. I do have a really exciting install coming up next week and the week after that. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe because we do have a lot more truck content coming your way. Thank you so much.